Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We're going to be continuing our coverage now of Kharak Cup number 9, starting with the finals in the lower bracket. So of course this is to decide who places 5th and who places 6th, not the grand finals here. That's the way like a 2-bracket system works. But it's for pride and glory, so naturally it's rather important, yeah. We got oh, let me actually check to make sure. Yes, my microphone is on. That's a bit important. Not so much as the game, but apparently you guys actually like hearing me talk about stuff, so. Let me also check to see if I've got the mod installed. Yes, I do. Wow, it's like I'm actually ready for things for once. So, it's funny, down here in the south we got Shrike, and he, I believe... Is that true? I believe he's the one with the map pick. Let me actually check this out real quick. This kind of stuff is mildly important, so... It would be the one who has the higher standing in the qualifiers bracket. Just wait for Battlefly to load for infinite time. You know how it goes. This is the kind of stuff I should really look up before I before I start casting, yeah? So it's actually Maze. Maze is the one with the map pick. He's the one with the higher score at this point. So he's picking this map. He'll be picking the 3rd map as well. Shrike will be picking the 2nd map, if it of course goes through the 3 maps. And I personally think it will, but I think Maze ought to come out on top. But I think these two players are pretty well matched. So I'm expecting a 2-1 for Maze, but we'll just have to see. What's his build, by the way? It's going to be early LAVs. Not as early as Shrike, though. Shrike also going for that himself. Probe going to come out and see this base burner here in the middle. But it's gonna not take any damage, which is very nice. That's pretty important, but it's not easy to do. And I imagine once LAV fabrication finishes here, we're gonna see some LAVs start coming out. But Maze is opening with Sport Cruiser first, so he should have the eco advantage unless Shrike can get some kind of value out of these LAVs. We all know how it goes. Shrike making his Sport Cruiser just now, so he is gonna be slightly behind that way. And I tend to think, like, you know, on the shallows, what are you really gonna do with like 3 LAVs, right? I don't know if there's really much that he's gonna get out of this. He can try to put down a turret in the middle here, but I don't think he should, because his opponent will just throw a targeting jammer on it. Although, actually, you know what? Now that I look at it, he's got the LAVs in the middle, so he can totally do that if he wants to. But because of course they can just shoot off the targeting jammer and then jammer, and then you've still got a probe there. AAV fabrication coming up for Shrike now. No tech just yet for Maze, although he is moving his salvagers into the fight. Probably just a little misclick right there. He'll notice that soon enough, I'm sure. Potential for some targeting jammer plays over here, but he doesn't want to go for it, it looks like. And I would agree, it's kind of expensive for something that you don't know if you're going to get value out of just yet. Maze also getting the assault pack, which is pretty interesting. But he's definitely not having the best fight just yet. That's what I would say. This ALM just barely out of viewing range. Doesn't look like it, but their height in the game is actually a bit lower than what you see on the screen, so always a little tricky to line those up. So Shrike, now having finished AV fabrication, gonna go to carrier production. And he's taken fairly good fights here in the early game, but still no noticeable advantage gained for, well, I say that, but perhaps he's forced Maze to make more LAVs than he would like to have. Because I'm looking at this now, he's only got 2 guys mining right there, whereas Shrike has got 4, so he's actually technically ahead, isn't he? Or 3, I guess. But 3 is almost 4. Okay, cool. So it looks like that's actually worked out pretty well for him. What I'm talking about, of course, is that because Maze has been using production time on LAVs right here to hold this off, he wasn't able to fill up his salvagers just yet. And that's a real thing, so... Turret getting set up now for the Coalition player. And I think this turret ought to take out these LAVs. Meaning it's definitely worth it, yeah. I mean, you take 350Cs to take out 300 and then also avoid some more damage on the base runner and get some field control. Definitely worth it. Typically, we would say that you need 4 LAVs or 4 sand skimmers, as the case may be, to take out a turret before it's finished deploying. But, and of course he got a micro too, but you know, he was on top of it. Was Maze. So AV's going to be hitting the area pretty soon, but railgun fabrication done for Maze now. I hope that he will, I hope he'll just make like 1 or 2 railguns. That would totally cover him off with this. He doesn't necessarily know though, and I think this is one way that he could use his probe maybe a little bit better. There's obviously no AA over here. You can just, you know, check out what's going on over there. Both players starting to fill up their third base location. Looks like Maze just a little bit earlier than Shrike on that. But once again, units coming out now, they could perhaps gain some momentum back in that regard. Maze going to score his artifact too, so it's going to be 1-1 on the artifact score. I figure that ought to help the Soban player a bit more at this stage of the game, as he's the one being attacked. Excuse me. But I think Shrike... Whoa! Hiccups, man. I think Shrike definitely should be able to get this artifact, though. So yeah, ALM doing what it does best, being a bit annoying. Annoying for Maze too, though, seeing as it can't actually like see over this hill here. And Maze's gonna wish he had railguns out a little bit earlier, but he has got them now. And if Shrike's really on top of this, he could target that unit. It doesn't seem to have noticed it. Shots are landing now. And the smoke, I think, is pretty good to just like buy some time. And these two AVs coming up on this side, suddenly this is quite an annoying attack, and I think he's getting pretty good value out of this all around. I was checking to see if Maze had upgrades. Of course he couldn't, actually. He hasn't even finished AAV fabrication, so these railguns definitely are vulnerable to AAVs, but they just weren't really able to get up on top of them in this case. That's what you expect, right, from ALMs and whatever. But the damage done by Shrike here, I think, is very, very good. Definitely has slowed his opponent down quite a bit here. And like I said, that... Oh, never mind. I mean, actually, I think probably 2 power in the ALMs would have been better, although this did give him the missile, so... I suppose it's debatable, but I still think that would have been better, perhaps, for Maze if he had put all the power in the ALMs. That just makes it even harder for those AAVs to get up on top of these railguns, right? How curious. So a second artifact is going to be extracted from Shrike momentarily. There is a force headed off in this direction for Maze. It's both going to be too late, though, and meet some opposition in the form of this turret. But Maze ought to be able to take this turret out now. And he is indeed getting vision on it, going to siege it out with these rails. But yeah, definitely going to buy more than enough time to get that base runner out. Probably mark target being used on 2 of these guys would be good, because you only need one of them to be hitting, really. But turret does go down eventually. Shrike getting a sport cruiser as well, and he's about to get up onto his next base. Maze has already got one, but he seems to have forgotten about exactly where it was. That's a little bit unfortunate. LAV kind of getting on top of these railguns, but that's not going to end very well. But yeah, you know, Shrike definitely seems to have pulled his opponent off into that kind of like side of the map here, and here he is coming in with a big run by of LAVs. And look how many ALMs are getting deployed here. This maybe looks good, but that's actually very expensive. Especially if they're getting killed like this. I think the idea is to buy time, but you don't really buy that much as you're expecting. And LAV's still getting up on top of these railguns and they're taking them out. This kind of stuff is more effective against Galzian because the Sandscrimmers can't actually shoot while they're getting stunned, but LAVs most certainly can. And so I'd say, even without those railgun kills, this might have just been worth it to get this many ALMs out, and then you can take them out one at a time. And on top of that, the LAV army got quite thinned as well. So Maze really needs to get onto his third base here with that sport cruiser, but I still think he's slightly behind, even with that. And another thing I haven't really been mentioning, though, is that Shrike is getting a lot of power reserves, and if you want to know a good counter to the ALMs, it's definitely the carrier. That's always pretty spicy. So, with power reserve 4 on the way, and a third artifact picked up too, it looks as though he may be able to score it if he just spams enough LAVs here. This could get pretty nasty pretty fast for our good buddy Maze. Because if that carrier can move out in a good, power play here with a couple of railguns with it, and I know you don't usually want to match railguns against Soban, but this is definitely a force equalizer right here. I really think Shrike could just kind of push in and take his opponent's base. So right now I'd like to see him move those LAVs out there with that base runner, but I think this is looking good for Shrike. I think it's looking very good indeed. LAV's going to push back in over on this side again, though. That's pretty interesting, and perhaps the idea here is to pull this army off so that you can get the extraction. And in a lot of ways, I gotta say that actually does make some sense. But I don't know, this is kind of like the problem you're going to run into. But no, it looks like the bait has actually worked, and the LAVs are going to fall back. If they had stayed out, I'd be a bit more worried. But then again, there is nothing to hold these LAVs off. AV fabrication not even finished, and that's kind of an issue. Not to say that's a wrong move, it just means that he can't leave this place alone. He has to have those LAVs in the area, so that is a little tricky. Now he's got the upgrade advantage, so he'll be fine here. But you see the railguns pulling back too? That's something that you often want to do because there's fog of war you don't necessarily know, but I would actually leave them out there, especially as you know this base front is going to want to extract at this point. Which, by the way, it should definitely be moving. This is a wonderful window, but I'm not sure if he's using it to the best visibility there. Shrike pulling some moves with these LAVs, though, getting up on this high ground here, and he's actually able to take the trade about even, which is good for him because he doesn't have the upgrade advantage. In fact, not by a lot. Maze he's got the boost, and he's also got armor too. A support cruiser now even getting up on this area. I would boost if I were him, just get above them, because you know you're going to take this fight. But, yeah. Power Reserve 5 now, on the way. And once that finishes, things are going to get real nasty, I think. Did that just shoot? Best ALM in the world, man. There we go, now it's hitting. LAVs do get cleared out. Artifact is going to run into some opposition here too, and I think Shrike had definitely a window to bring it out there. I mean, yeah, you can say he didn't necessarily know that those railguns weren't there anymore, but he should have suspected. That was kind of part of the ploy that he was going for there. So, anyways, 4 cruisers out, Power Reserve 5 is finished. I say he should move out immediately, and yep, putting 5 power in the range. That's what I would do, because then you can actually range the railgun's vision. Not the railguns themselves, they're still slightly higher ranged, but if you can range their vision, you definitely have a pretty good window for killing them. I think it's obvious to say. With this many railguns out too, and he may... No, he's got heavy armor vehicles too. There you go, yeah, he's getting the mag accelerator now. He's definitely in a position to push out. So I'd like to see him just move now. I think any second he waits is a second... Well, it's just kind of a wasted opportunity. And in fact, you can see, okay, railguns are up here. That's at least 4 that I'm not going to have to deal with over there. And in fact, if he knew it, there's none over here. So this is definitely the time to push. And it looks like he's going to do it. I think he's got to take this game. Something just killed that. He's got support cruiser anti-air. And he's getting missile battery fabrication. That seems a little overkill to me. That seems overkill to me. Now, Shrike is not going to want to reveal that he's got the cruise missile until the opportune moment, right? So, naturally he didn't use it on these guys. That'd be a bit of a waste. He maybe could have gotten the artifact out, and you think, well, 2 power, that's not bad, right? But, no, I think it's better for him that he does it like this. It's going to take 300 meters off his range there. For the weapons, which actually, yeah, I can actually see the reason there, right? Because if you want to get this in 5, you can only have this in 2, whereas now it's in 4, so that's actually kind of a big deal. That one artifact maybe would have been worth firing the cruise missile now that I think about it, but I mean, like I said, either way, he could have had it if he had really gone for it in the right time. Now, this would be a good target for a cruise missile, perhaps. I think I would use it there. But yeah, carriers do very good screening for LAVs, and so these guys are going to take pretty horrendous losses as they push in on this area. They can, I think, go for the straight run by and try to hit the eco. That probably would be better. I don't see how they're going to get any value in this particular fight here. But the cruise missile still has not been launched. He's being very patient with this. Railgun numbers on Shrike's end very thin now, but LAV's actually coming back in, and I suppose it kind of makes sense. The carrier's not in the area anymore. But, okay, cruise missile getting launched now. Where is it? Right on his opponent's carrier. He's going to push in. And at this point, I think he can switch to weapons 5, yeah? And then just get like 1-1 in there. Remember what I said about the Coalition carrier. Very good counter to ALMs because they do nothing to it. And Maze's carrier is suddenly looking very much caught out of position. Nothing to screen for it. It's right next to this Coalition carrier, which is quite a nasty thing. And it has just got to die here. I don't see any way that he's going to get out of this. Well done, Maze. Well done. Shrike. You know what? These two players I always get mixed up, and now they're playing each other in the finals. It's just not fair. That is kind of like exactly what we would want to see in a timing push. This one came out pretty late, but that's not a problem. It's a later timing push, so you can already have Power Reserve 5 with the cruise missile, right? That was very effective, and I think it was pretty well done too. Obviously, there's some little things. Hottest Man's asked me if I'm doing 1v1. Nah, mate. Not M9. I'm casting, yo. Yeah, there's obviously a couple of little things that I wish he would do a little bit better, but he did quite well, I think. I was pleased to see that one. Let's move on to map 2, shall we? This one's going to be the other guy's map pick, Shrike's, yeah? This is going to be Shrike's map pick right here, Torn Crater, and I think that makes sense. I think that's a map that kind of plays to his style pretty well. You know, Maze, I think he did the right move on the shallows, which leads me to believe that he picked that knowing pretty well, like, how the game was going to look. Yeah, I think he definitely made the right moves on the shallows there, just did get kind of outplayed in some ways. I think the ALM spam, that's one thing in particular I would fault a lot of Sylvan players on, actually. Is that, you know, we know that the ALM is a powerful tool, so they say, like, well, if I'm in danger, just, like, throw a whole bunch of them out, but it only works to throw out ALMs if it actually works, right? Otherwise, it's actually quite expensive, so that's probably one thing that I would say. You know what I just realized? It's kind of a curious, an interesting kind of like mental problem I'm not sure how they solved in this game, is that when the probe flies higher, you can see that the vision bubble goes up, yet it still has to retain the same radius, because they don't want the radius to decrease if the probe flies higher in the air. How do they do that? I'm learning to code right now, so I'm like, every time I see things like this, I think like, huh, how would you solve this? Yeah, it looks like the radius of the sphere actually increases if the probe flies higher up into the air. That's really interesting. That's a problem you don't have to worry about in Homeworld Classic, yeah? Because obviously you're in space, there's no such thing as terrain. You don't worry about this radius, you just worry about that one, but... Curious. So, as we would expect, the LAVs for Shrike are coming out here, and it's probably going to be 2 on CUs on the expansion, although he hasn't opened it just yet. But AAV fabrication comes out pretty early for both players, and this time Maze is not going to go for Sport Cruiser first. I did not check, actually I was a bit remiss to check the, things. Why do I speak this way? I use a word like remiss and then I say things, but anyway. Yeah, I don't know if he was doing a tech rush in particular, because obviously, you know, you would know if he was doing a tech rush by seeing if he put the salvagers on RUs first. Didn't check for that. But based on the fact that these 4, like, one of them has a different orientation, I would say he did. So he's probably going to get AAVs really early, yeah? Yeah, okay, so he's producing them at the 2-minute mark just about. I think that's pretty early. Discara is really good at this kind of stuff. He'd probably know a little better than me. I don't actually know exactly what the timings for these things are, but yeah. Probe for Maze is going to learn everything he needs to know about the Space Runner. He's not going to be surprised by that one at all. Probably going to send one of the AAVs off in that direction. And he's definitely going to be covered by these LAVs pretty nicely. Looks like Probe probably going to get killed here. Only takes like a half second of miss micro and that probe will go down, right? AAV is here to bully the LAVs. I think he should chase. But then again, Sylvan players have not gotten any healing in the beginning of the game, so that is one reason not to. AAV is on the base runner right now, and I don't think Shrike going to be able to get too much value out of this. So that's good. That's definitely what you want to see. Obviously, the micro is a little bit important here too. He's going to need to target that turret immediately. He's going to need to target the turret immediately. Okay, there we go. Oh, did you see that? He used an attack move to do that. I guess actually if you do attack move, it'll default to attacking the turret. But yeah, fight going on both sides, but looks like Maze is handling it just fine on both sides too. And all is well. However, Shrike does have a Sport Cruiser at first, so Maze is going to want to get some value out of these AAVs right after he holds off this attack. By which I think I mean killing the base runner, probably. And you see a smoke being used there to keep that AAV alive. Not sure if it was needed, but it's a nice move. And now Maze has got the field, so let's see what he does with it. 2 guys at low health, but all the rest pretty vetted up, actually. Or, vetted up. Pretty healed up, actually. They haven't taken any damage, is what I mean. And Heavy Vehicles 1 coming out for Maze too. Isn't that really nice to see? I think that's a really good move. These guys perhaps are taking a longer route than they could have, but... And you know what? It's going to be fighter and gunship now for Shrike, actually. That's quite interesting to see. But you can see him massing up LAVs here. That's not going to turn out too well for him. I think facing an AAV rush, I'd be pretty hesitant to go for fighter and gunship. I think it takes a little too long, and then also too long to kill them. I think railguns would be the better choice here. And he had time, too. But we'll see. I mean, maybe it'll work out for him. He's also getting Power Reserve 1. Not a bad move. If you know you're going to get attacked by these AAVs now, that's always a nice thing to have. But that carrier cannot cover both locations. You can see he's going to flip him around now, but these AAVs are going to be hitting... no! Well, they should be hitting just about now. And like I said, they could have taken that faster route. I think they could be, like, there right now. And obviously that would be awesome if you, like, converge, you know, together like that. But, whoa, what view am I in? Anyway, strike fighters are out. 2 of them now. And these AAVs going to get repulsed by the carrier. Not sure I agree with that. I think they could have stayed. So it looks like Maze is not going to capitalize particularly well on this AAV push, but he does have his support cruiser out, and there was a little bit of mining disruption done here, so I'd say both players more or less even at this point. And railgun fabrication is finished for Maze now. If he catches wind of the idea that his opponent has got strike fighters early enough, you shouldn't take any really serious losses from it. Getting the mag accelerator a tad early, I feel, but that's probably okay. Still, though, we tend to like to delay that until we need it, right? Which can be risky, but if you can do it right. Yeah, see, AAV's gonna push back in here now, but like the only thing that changed is that a bunch of LAVs left. I really feel like you don't need that, and also these guys need to be moving in, move in, please. But Maze certainly can see this now. Not sure if he is, but he can. Strike fighters are ready. And once again, AAV's gonna poke in and then poke right back out again. I don't really agree with this, but that's alright. Yeah, so he knows that there are strike fighters in that carrier. And I would be pushing him in again immediately if I were Maze here. But yeah, at this point, he couldn't possibly not know that there's strike fighters, because he can literally see them. And look at that, there's already a missile battery out. And with the stun from the ALMs, he could actually get a really nice mortar right here, but doesn't seem to be using it. What's the damage here? Looks like he's going for that support cruiser. These guys are pretty late to the party, though, and I really think they should be getting this kill right now. They probably still will, but no, you can't stop. Oh, that's really pretty unfortunate to see right there. No one went down here, did they? Don't think so. But I think Maze really should have had the support cruiser right here. So it's pretty sad to see him stop there, but SCAA coming out for him too now. He's got this missile battery to hold the main, and so he should be completely covered on anti-air. He knows he's on slightly higher economy than his opponent. I'd say he ought to make some kind of a force and try to keep that pressure up. And of course, you know, you got missile batteries, which normally you don't like to get, you know, as a coalition player, but if you've got them, you can use them well by keeping them with your army. He's got railgun fabrication and the mag accelerator, mind you, so that could be something that he could really look into. Mix in like 1 or 2 AAVs, this missile battery, and then a bunch of railguns and push out on that location. Just hold your opponent off of his third. That's probably what I would do in this case. We'll see though. Strike fighters are definitely in the air here. I mean, obviously. They're looking for some value now, but it's going to be difficult to find it. All of these locations covered pretty well by anti-air. In fact, there's another support cruiser, so both of the missile batteries now can move out with the army is what that means. And it's going to be really difficult for these strike fighters to find a place where they can get some value. Shrike going to move in on this base location right here. You can see he does good damage on that pass, but he is going to lose strike fighters for this. Or at least I really would rather have thought he would. He only lost 1 strike fighter there. But despite knowing about the support cruiser anti-air, he's going to go for that second location now. I'm not sure how I feel about that. This is a lot of strike fighters. You can get a lot of momentum out of this, but I don't know if this one's going to work out. It's a little bit ambitious. So what were the losses then? He lost 4 to get a support cruiser and nearly killed this next one. That should be worth it, yeah. Okay, so that actually worked out pretty well for Shrike. There are more missile batteries out now, though, and I think Maze probably is making a support cruiser now. Not sure. But, yeah, he should be covered against future air raids. Right? That's my thought anyway. Thing is, this guy is so weak, though, that he can get killed really quickly. So you can make it expensive for your opponent. I think that's what you got to do here. In fact, these 2 missile batteries, I'd keep them back there. So that if your opponent does want to use his strike fighters to take that one out, he's going to have to lose a lot. I'd also be putting an AAV there, because you never know if... Yep, there you go. There's LAVs coming in. And they could be coming in faster. That's probably what a slightly better player would have done here. So yeah, I would be putting some more anti-air over on this side, but... We'll see. We'll see how this goes. The other thing he can do, of course, is hold his opponent off of his third, and then you kind of equalize the difference there. And he's got quite a lot of railguns here, so that's definitely going to be powerful. Another thing you can try to do in this scenario is to try to hold the middle of the map. It's a little difficult on Torrent Crater, but it is also easy on Torrent Crater because it's very defined what the middle of the map is. And the strike fighters have to fly over that middle area, then you've got the anti-air there, and you can hurt them on their way to wherever they're headed. And that doesn't stop them entirely. They have to go around here, but it really is taxing for your other player's micro. So you can get some, you know, that's good. You can get some good value out of that kind of thing. ALMs and AVs here to hold this one off, but this one here very vulnerable. Let's see what's going on this side though. A lot of sub-on railguns, and they're going to be doing the damage for sure. Sport Cruiser goes down as we would expect. This mortar could be really big. Oh, ouch. Yeah, that's a really good one there. But the Strike Fighter's going to launch into a smorgasbord of anti-air right here. And I guess they want to get those railguns, but like this is going to be painful, to say the least. I think almost no matter what Maze loses here, I mean, he's going to be doing so much more damage to his opponent just in terms of air units killed. This is like painful to watch almost. Entire air army just got wiped right there. So that was not worth it. And Railgun's still persisting here. He's actually not even cleared out this area completely. Oh, and isn't that so nice? He's gonna smoke his opponent's support cruiser for him. Yeah, and then his LAVs do get cleared out because of that missile battery mortar, of course. So this is looking actually still, I think, pretty good for Maze. Obviously he lost another support cruiser over there, but he just completely wiped that air army. That was really nasty. Shrike is floating a lot of resources. I'd have him get railgun fabrication just for that production upgrade if I were him. A lot of LAVs getting built up right here, but you need to be careful, of course, for these missile batteries. Obviously not the best unit in the game, but if you've got it, you're going to use it, and that mortar can be really deadly. So, and Shrike moving his carrier back to get repaired. He kind of needs to, doesn't he? But it's pretty rough. It's not what he wants to have to do. He also has no artifact pickups this game. I think both players retiring their base runners early on. That means he has not got the ability to, how do you say? Like, he needs to get to Power Reserve 5 before he can use the reactive armor to heal him. He is researching that, though. And that's going to be pretty... Oh, and double support crews are coming out, too, now. I'm just wondering if he's got himself sufficiently covered, because there's a whole bunch of AAVs coming in here. And the carrier can do well against them, but... You know, these things are... They're literally tanks. I mean, it'll take a lot of time to kill them. Especially with Heavy Vehicles Armor 3 coming out, which is going to increase their health by 200. Now, here, though, there's only one singular AAV to hold all of this off. And, LAVs are obviously countered by AAVs, but not by one of them. Oh, Shrike. Kill that thing. Oh, please. Please, my friend. That would be really nasty for his opponent. And these guys backing up here, I mean, I don't like... Oh, my gosh. I know there's action going on, but I always want to check this kind of stuff out. But yeah, these LAVs right here, they ought to be over there to kill the support cruiser, but... Because once this singular AAV goes down, this is wide open for the taking. There's just railguns there, that's it. I think that's got to be the move. This guy's really high up, by the way. Holy goodness. Ah! Oh! Oh! Okay, well this actually can be good though. The eco attack here from Shrike is not bad, but... Oh! Well, I guess that's why he was so confident. He knew he had a cruise missile coming out to cover the railguns. And you know what? This actually does not look bad for him at all. This attack here ought to be held off, though, but could potentially get a support cruiser for it now that I look at things. And perhaps he's already gotten one, or at least there's something missing here. He's not on 3 bases this Shrike. Oh dear, yeah, smoke comes down on it, but the ALMs as well as the missile battery, that's a really deadly combo, and those LAVs are going to get killed by that. Maze has moved his carrier into position here, but this is really risky, because this carrier over here is pretty nasty, and you know you got killed by this last time. If I were Maze, I'd be spamming railguns, but backing up at the same time. And maybe BC fabrication's not bad either to avoid the cruise missiles, but I'm not totally sure. But you can see how much range this carrier has got. It's almost insane. Looks like now Shrike is going to be remaking his strike fighter numbers. Yeah, suddenly the railguns once again very muchly so. Very easy to macro up railguns, especially a Sogon. So it's not like something that Shrike can win with just his carrier. That's why, you know, it's good he's making something. Air, I'm not totally sure if that's the correct move, but that's what he's going to go with. This support cruiser here definitely moving too far out, though. That'll happen if you don't have a rally point set, so... Ooh, that's really close. There's no vision on that support cruiser, but just barely. The resources like for Maze? He hasn't got any bank, but... yeah, you can definitely macro up quite a lot. Now, this AAV force is huge, and I can't believe it wasn't used earlier. Like, they all pulled back. I think they're so slow, it's not really going to matter too much. I would have moved them all in. And just like, well, if you're going to hit me, I'll hit you. You know, we'll have bloody noses together type of thing, rather than trying to stop it, which was a bit futile. Now, Maze needs to be really careful for that cruise missile. It is ready to fire. I think you got to be out of the sensor's view watching the carrier, and once that thing starts firing, immediately split them, and maybe you have a chance to do it. But it's pretty tricky. Okay, yeah, go, run! Oh, no. Yeah, that's not good. But Shrike is going to back up here. Now, this is a moment where I think he could honestly just win, but... and definitely if he waits, he's going to have some trouble, because, like, there's a couple of AAVs running in over here. He's got to push in. Because you got that carrier now, not stricken, but unsupported. And you have railguns of your own, just go for the base trade. This is definitely better for you in this scenario than pushing out, like, falling back and then getting killed by these AAVs. I mean, just look how many of these things there are. This is actually insane. I don't think I've ever seen this many AAVs, like, so close together. Oh, that's a good idea, actually, making a base run and trying to get an artifact out. Maze thinks so too. He's gonna run right onto it. That's pretty funny. Okay, well, I actually don't know the outcome of this match, by the way. I just wanted you to know. So I actually am sort of in suspense too. I didn't expect Shrike to be playing so well here, but I think he could really win this right now. And that would be the series, obviously. In fact, the longer it goes on, the better it looks for him. In some ways, because the cruise missile will be ready again. Then again, though, he's only going to be able to use one. Oh, and you can't stop pushing. You got to keep chasing. Because his eco is entirely shut off right now. And Maze's eco could be so, but could not be as well. What's the bank looking like here? Really bad on RUs for Shrike. He can use that cruise missile once, just once. But he could potentially retire some units, and he's going to retire some salvagers. That'll get him a second use of it, but he's not going to get back on his eco anytime soon, that's for sure. Yeah, but where are the railguns for Maze? They need to be coming out in like a fury here, but I don't see that many of them. I don't see any of them on the queue, in fact. No, he's going for power reserves. Are you gonna fight your opponent's carrier like this? Never, man, never. Oh dear, I really don't like this move from Maze. I don't know about this, and you can see Shrike now reconsidering the idea of salvaging, retiring the salvagers. He's just gonna start mining here. There's no railguns to contest with this. I think it still would have been a hard ask, but like you could have done it because these railguns here, you know, like they're how do you say? They're non-replenishable. You know what I mean? Like once they die, they're just gone, right? I think he could have taken this fight. Sport Cruiser kind of waltzing off into his death over here. That's a little funny. Even the salvagers here to witness the destruction of their enemies. Alright, well, Maze can mine too if he wants to. He can take his opponent's old bases. And I guess the AAV force here is still quite deadly to eco, right? But both players suffering a complete logistics wipe. Shrike's got 1 out now, 2 out. He's still pop cap though, yeah? Yeah, he is. It's always very funny when you see Coalition players get this type of base trading stuff, because that always happens, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, you can't check population for your opponent, but we can do the math, yeah? I think these are all 3, so he's at 39. He's gonna need 3 ALMs to counteract that, or maybe just 2. No, I think he needs 3 for that. And May's gonna go for assault cruiser fabrication. That's very interesting. Wanting artillery, obviously. Yeah, I mean you wouldn't do this for the assault cruiser in this scenario. Obviously, it's the railguns that have really hurt you, but. Looks like Maze is pretty set on stopping this extraction. The angle doesn't look particularly good. I think they're going to be in, like, the artifact will be in railgun coverage by the time Maze gets there with the AAVs. But there's a hill here, though. And if the railguns push up close, Maze could kill him. This is actually, this is pretty good for him, actually. And I think the move here's got to be charge those railguns. You're close enough now that you can do it. And smoke is getting popped to close the distance. This is really good now. Armor is there, but actually, yeah, maybe this isn't the best move. But look at that, he's smoking part of them, said he can only be fighting part of them at a time. This is so good. This is really actually very good play here with these AAVs. And he's gonna clear out all these railguns, I think. Maybe not all of them, but he got quite a few, and I think that's got to be worth it. I think that's got to be worth it. Wow. All right. I like that. You know, that was good. I didn't see that working for him, but it really did. At this point, he's definitely gonna want to put down some ALMs, huh? And actually, he's still got anti-air coverage, but it's not really in position. So he could lose some salvagers here too. And Shrike has got that cruise missile available too. That's always a good way to pick off some salvagers in this type of scenario. I say always as if this happens a lot. You know what I mean. Yeah, missile batteries, of course, painfully slow units. It'll get there eventually. And salvagers just gonna retire themselves. I think it's a bit of an overreaction. But this game is still alive. Now, the problem for Maze, of course, is that he just retired his entire economy, so he's got no eco at all. He needs to get that up and running as fast as possible. But this game is still up. Not gonna lie, I don't think it's looking good for Maze, but it's possible. Oh, a base runner. That's definitely a good move right there. Yeah, because what has Maze got on the field now that can stop it? And he's gotten another missile battery. I think he kind of needed to, but it's kind of rough. You got to be putting down some ALMs though, right? I don't know. I rather think Shrike ought to take this. Just now, the longer I look at it, the more kind of out of control it looks for Maze, just because he hasn't got any army left. But I think retiring the soldiers was part of the reason for that. I don't think he needed to do that. Man, Shrike is just going full wing. This is crazy. If he clears out the missile batteries, he could just win like that. Wonder what that is, huh? A base runner? What? You're crazy, man. I don't like that move at all. Also, the mortar being used on the singular levy, probably not the best, but... I mean, obviously the problem there is just like, how are you going to use a base runner here? I mean, I guess you can take this and extract and then avoid like the time limit problem, but that's not going to do it for you. The Strike Fighter's already getting dialed in against that carrier, a bit early perhaps, but if he's using the cruise missile right now to take out the missile batteries, maybe that'll work. Washing machine carrier having some difficulty getting out of the way there, of course. Yeah, that's got to be the end for Maze. And you know, like I said, I thought these two players were pretty evenly matched, but I really thought it would be Maze coming out on top and like with, you know, a 2-1 or something like that, but it's gonna be Shrike. Well, nicely done, man. You can feel good about this. You can feel good about this series because it was good. I think both players played quite well. Obviously some mistakes. Obviously this is the lower bracket, but they did well, and I was quite pleased to see that. I hope you enjoyed it too. I think that was a pretty good lower bracket finals. I will be moving on with the I was considering doing them today, starting in the upper bracket. I got time. I think I'll do one right now. So I'll just catch you then, but yeah. See you next time, I guess. I don't know. You get the idea.